Hi, welcome to Chapter 4, Apply What You Know. In this video, we have two questions to work on. Let's start with the first one. Okay, Kate is the group sales manager at the 400-room full-service 333 hotel. Carla is the front office manager. Together with Leona, the general manager, they make revenue management decisions for their property. For the Saturday night, that is just 1 week away, they have 180 unsold rooms remaining. Kate would like to accept an available group contract for the entire 180 rooms. We'll sell out, he proclaims, and have a great RevPAR. Carla would like to lower the room rates to $159 per night, which is a $20 reduction from the hotel's normal rate of $179. How many rooms do you forecast we can sell at that rate? Asks Leona. I believe we can sell about 120 of them, is Carla's reply. That means we'll leave 60 empty rooms and lower RevPAR, protests Kate. It's cost $35 to prepare, sell, and clean, preparation for the resale, a room at the 333. Review the room sold data under two alternative plans, then answer the questions that follow. Please stop the video here, try to solve all these problems and answer the questions yourself, and come back and let's try to do it together. Okay, hopefully you worked on the question and you solved the questions yourself, but let's go over. Now, first thing is let's, as usual, try to fill out the best we can. First thing is the room sold. In this case, by the way, this is the Kate's plan and this is the Carla's plan. Let's start with the Kate's plan. In her plan, that 400 rooms sold, which is the all property. But let's see, just in case, let's do the calculations here. So the occupancy rate going to be 100%. They are asking for the ADR. I should have maybe made another column for ADR, but let's calculate the ADR here. Now, in order to do that, we need to get revenue from total revenue. So 107. Actually, let's do this. Hold on. Let's get the room revenue here. 179 times how many rooms sold. Okay, and once again, 109 rooms, 180. Now, total room is going to be this plus this one. Now, ADR is going to be total room divided by 400. Okay? For the RevPAR is going to be same thing. Room revenue divided by how many rooms available. Now you might say, hey, these two are same because we are sold out. So in RevPAR per available room, we got the whole 400 room, but in ADR, let me put ADR here. We focus on the room sold, but because in this case is the same, that's why we have the same results. Okay. Let's do the same thing with the gross operating per available room. Now, gross operating per available room is basically after variable cost, right? So in order to do that, we're gonna do this. First, we got the room revenue minus, so how many rooms sold? 220. And how much is the prepare is $35. 35. You see, $31,608. I mean, we could have combined, but for the sake of explanation, let's go one by one. Room revenue minus how many rooms? 180 times, once again, 35. Now, in order to calculate the gross operating per available room, we're gonna do the same thing. We are going to add revenue, the profit after the variable cost, which is total of this, okay? Let's do it in the parentheses. Never forget your parentheses. And divide how many rooms we have. So in Kate's plan, RevPAR is going to be 147.50, ADR is going to be 147.50, and gross operating profit per available room, is going to be $112.50. Now, let's look at Carla's plan. First, how many rooms sold? 340, okay? And occupancy is going to be 85%. Once again, to able to calculate the ADR, let's go with the room revenue first. 179 times 220 and 159 times 120. So 220, 120, and total is going to be, okay. Now, in this case, total room revenue divided by how many rooms sold? 340. That is the difference between the RevPAR and ADR, right? And let's put ADR here again. So this time RevPAR and ADR is going to be different because how many room available versus how many rooms sold is different. We get this divided by, which is the 400. So 146.15. Okay? And let's do this again. Minus 220 times 35. This revenue minus 120 times 35. Just to clarify, we are doing here basically, this is the revenue comes from selling this many rooms, right? Minus how much is cost, 120 times 35. We could have also get the total revenue and total 340 rooms by 35, but just the sake of calculation, we are doing this. Now, we add these together and divided by 400 room. Now, let's see. What will be the hotel occupancy percent under each of the plans? 100%, 95%. What will be the hotel's ADR under each of plans? 147.50, 171.94. If you can see, look at it. ADR is much higher here. Okay. What will be the hotel's RevPAR under each of the plans? 147.5, 146.15. And GopPAR is 112.50 and 116.40. Now, if you are Leona, general manager, whose plan would you support? Without just looking at the numbers, without thinking additional, which we're going to answer in the next question. If you just look at the numbers, RevPAR is 147.50, RevPAR is 146.15. However, gross operating profit is 112.50 and 116.40. Now, in the end, we are in the business to generate profit. Yes, RevPAR is a little bit higher in the Kate's plan, but Carla's plan, we make more money. In the end, as a general manager or the owner, you concern on how much profit you make. Why is higher? Because we have a less people, so our cost is slightly lower. Okay. Now, what is the next question? The triple three is a full service hotel. Do you think Leona's position would change if the hotel were select service property? Explain your answer. Now, there are things you have to consider in the revenue management, because especially in the select service versus the full service, in full service we have many other opportunities to sell, right? For example, food and beverage. You might have a restaurant, you have a bar, and there is other revenues, spa and etc. meeting space. So you need to consider them as well. Why that is important? Now let's look at one more time. Just from the room revenue perspective, Carla's plan brings more money, $116 per room. However, In Kate's plan, there are 60 more people coming to your property. If those 60 more people generate additional revenue from the food and beverage and etc., which is, if it's more than $4 per room, is actually could generate more money. So the point of this exercise is, yes, numbers are good, but you have to consider other things as well, because in hotel industry, some groups comes and really spend well in like restaurants, bar, and they use spa, and they rent a meeting space and etc. If you focus on just the room revenue, you might miss that part. So you maybe for that kind of group, you might offer a discount on the room but generate money from some other places. That's the things that you have to consider, not as just a revenue manager, but any kind of future manager as well. So let's look at the next question. Tom Roger is the director of purchasing of Dart Industries. Tom is responsible for booking approximately 1,000 guest rooms per month in the city in which his company corporate office is located. The rooms are used to house the company's many corporate office visitors. Tom approaches Robin Mars, the director of sales manager and revenue manager slash, it's a very common revenue manager jobs is done with the director of sales or the front desk manager, sometimes general manager. Handles the revenue management function as well, of the local Hawthorne Suites Hotel with proposition. Instead of paying $159.99 per night, which is the hotel's regular rate, Tom proposes the following rate structure. And there are some questions here. For the simplicity, I want you to do this. Instead of like first 149, then after 101, more, if it's more than 100 people, 139 room rate basically is a structured rate. Let's assume that if it's the 50 room, if it fits in here, all the rooms is the same price. If it's 250, it's gonna be in between 101 and 400. So the price is going to be, all of them is going to be 139.99. Once again, I want you to stop the video here and just solve it yourself, and come back to the video and let's do it together. Okay, let's see. First, if it's the 50 room, is going to be basically this. If it's 250, which is lies between this, 350 is also lies between this, and 401 is basically this one. And total revenue is going to be room times room rates. In this case, we can just do this automatically. Total variable cost is going to be, the variable cost per room according to assumption is 65. So we get this variable cost times room sold. These are the room costs, and after variable cost is basically total revenue minus total variable cost. Now, what we did, first we calculate the revenue. Revenue is the room rate times room sold. Then, according to the question here, it says each room is variable cost associated to each room is 65, which is the same, doesn't matter how many rooms you sell. So we calculated the variable cost, which is the variable cost per room times the room, how many rooms you sold, and we calculated the after variable cost revenue. Basically, you generate some kind of revenue, but you also spend money to generate that revenue. That gives you the end result after variable cost revenue. So in this case, if you look at this, first of all, from the question perspective, what the total the hotel's room revenue, we calculated all this here. Assume the variable cost of selling each room 65. We also calculate all this here. And if you were advising Robin, what would you tell her to consider predicting to? Okay, now let me explain this, then we can answer that question. If you look at here, it's interesting, right? Total revenue in 350 is actually higher than 401. So you generate more money if you do that up to 400, because drops is $20 from 139 to 119. And also, if you look at the after variable cost revenue, that value actually increased almost $4,200. So that's what you have to be careful. However, similar to first question, if you are advising Robin, you should also consider, what if all those people staying at the hotel spend much more money in the other places, right? For example, the food and beverage and etc. So it depends on your property, what kind of amenities you offer, in addition to what do you think that guests going to spend at your property. So hopefully this also helps you get some ideas. Thank you.